This end of Prince Edward County is kind of known as the graveyard of Lake Ontario because there are a huge number of shipwrecks that have happened here over the years. Most of them can be explained by this happened or that happened or it was really bad weather or something. There are a few that are just really odd. One of those was the schooner Picton, which disappeared in this was in 1900, and it was coming across the lake with another couple of ships and just kind of disappeared. And there were two crews following behind it, and they never did find out what happened, except that a note in a bottle showed up at Sackets Harbor across the lake a couple of weeks later, and it was from the captain. And they have no idea how the captain had time to write a note or stick it in a bottle or anything, because the ship just disappeared so fast. So that's a fun one. The other one was in 1889, and it was a schooner called the Bavaria, which was actually under tow at the time, and the tow line parted. And it eventually fetched up out towards Main Duck Island, which is out in the middle of the lake. And the ship was fine. Um, uh, there was bread that had baked in the oven. The table was set for dinner. The captain's papers and his money were all there. There was even a pet canary that somebody had that was, happily singing in the cage. But there was not a single trace of the crew. And nobody ever did figure out what happened to them. But the fact that there was nothing missing off the deck, there was nothing missing from the cabin. If the crew decided to abandon ship, they sure didn't take much with them. And the fact that the ship could survive whatever was going on and the crew couldn't is really odd. Because one would have expected that they would hang on to the uh, in the boat as long as they could, because once you're over in the water, it's really dicey whether or not you're going to make it. So the standard method of operation is you stick with the vessel as long as you possibly can, and then if you have to try and make it to shore, you make sure you got something to hang on to, like a hatch cover or something like that. So it would have been very, very odd for them to have just simply abandoned ship. There are all these little tantalizing bits that come up. And when you talk to sailors in this area, uh, and I know this from experience because my family had boats too, you can't trust the compass readings. There's something weird that goes on just as you round Point Traverse, and all of a sudden you can be 30, 40 degrees out in terms of your compass readings. So a lot of the people who were on the lake a lot just didn't use their compass. They would listen for the foghorns or take soundings from the bottom or something like that because they knew there was a problem with it. The other interesting thing that happens is that you can get a lot of sort of optical illusions out here. Temperature inversions can really do some funky things with visuals and light, and that's when a layer of cold air will come in over a layer of warmer air, and it kind of bends the light. And I've seen them. I was out at Little Bluff one afternoon, and there was this jet ski buzzing around, which was really annoying. And finally, he went off somewhere else, and we applauded. Uh, and then we were sitting there for a while, and we could hear it coming back, but we couldn't see it yet, and we're kind of grumbling because this jet ski is coming back. And then all of a sudden, up in the sky, we could see it, but it was upside down. And that image kind of hung there for several minutes and then finally disappeared. And then the guy came around the point and we could see him down on the water. So there's a lot of sort of optical illusion and things like that that happen out there. Oftentimes there's a scientific explanation, sometimes there isn't. And it's a toss up, what is really going on out there. But I will say this, it's a very spiritual place. I mean, look out behind me, and it's just, it's otherworldly almost. It's so beautiful and so kind of remote. Um, and you just really feel yourself getting in touch, I think, with the earth.